You may find yourself living in a shotgun shack. You may find yourself in a different part of the world. You may find yourself in a beautiful house with a beautiful wife. And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here? So, how did I get here? Well, my story starts in 2012. I was finishing up a dual degree at Cornell College in International Relations and Russian Studies. And because my foundational scholarship would pay for it, I was able to take advantage of an opportunity to study abroad for a year in Russia. And so I studied right across the river from where we are now at SPBGU, St. Petersburg State University. I studied Russian history and language. I did better in the former than I did in the latter. But I came in 2012, and while I was here, I lived with a Russian family, and it was a great experience. A couple named Mila and Oleg, and I met some amazing people, both through the program I was in, which had tons of other foreigners from all over the world, and also locals that quickly became acquainted with and built wonderful friendships. Some of my friends stayed in Russia or found other things to do Russian related. My friend Justin Hammond created a hugely successful YouTube channel until he ran into visa difficulties after the Ukraine conflict started up. He was doing very well in Russia. Now he's still residing back in Canada, last I talked to him. But again, I had made some great friendships and really just fell in love with the city. I also, along the way, met the lovely Masha, and who later got suckered into marrying me, and so that had a bearing on all of it as well. But most importantly, even before I met Masha, I had discovered the European University of St. Petersburg, and I decided that I wanted to return after I finished at Cornell and do my master's through their NERPO program, which is an Energy and Politics International Relations master's degree. And it was taught all in English. And so I had already made the decision, and I had already been approved by my foundation that they would go ahead and pay for my master's degree there, which was a huge blessing for me. And so I'd already started the ball rolling to return even before I had left. So except for the 10 months that I went back to Cornell to finish up my 2 bachelor's degrees, I have been in St. Petersburg. So over 12 years now. And that's how I got here. But why St. Petersburg? This is the big question. Why did you move to Russia? And to be honest, I could have lived and worked just about anywhere in the world. But there is something about this city that reaches out and grabs you. And I often refer to a feeling that George Kennan describes in his diary in 1945. And if you don't know who George Kennan is, he's a very remarkable individual. He was a U.S. diplomat during World War II in Russia. And after the end of the war, he went on to help develop some of the U.S. Cold War policy. He's a major influence in global international relations for his entire lifetime, and he came to St. Petersburg in 1945, and he wrote in his diary, and I always remember this. It's detailed out in a book called The Hawk and the Dove, and if you haven't read it, or if you're interested in international politics, diplomacy, history of Russia and U.S. relations, then it's a really good book for you to take, just take a browse at. But in his diary, he says that he got to St. Petersburg, and there was something that just kind of reached out and grabbed him. It provided a warmth and beauty, and that it was very significant. And he said it was something that no American would ever understand, and no Russian would ever believe. And those words really struck me. And I think that after experiencing so many conversations and talking to other expats, and especially people from the West, what I found is that they've all experienced much the same thing. There's just something about this city that amazingly just comes out and grabs you. Of course, there's much more to St. Petersburg than just, how it reached out and grabbed me. It's an amazing place, and it's hard to believe when you're here that there's 6 million people here. I'm not really big on big cities in general, compared to Kansas City, which is where I lived before I started studying at Cornell, and that city is so much bigger. Kansas City metro area is like twice the size of the St. Petersburg metro area, but has like a third of the population. I've just never been a real big city guy, but it just doesn't feel like that here. It doesn't feel like some overwhelming New York or Moscow or even like Chicago size city. It's it's kind of amazing. As long as I've lived here, it's tough for me to take a metro ride where I don't run into somebody I know, either on the escalator going up or down, or on the platform itself or whatnot. It's it kind of has a smaller city feel to it, even though it is so big. But it's also just full of stories, and I love stories, and that's one of the things that I started this channel for, is to share some of these stories. I mean, this is the city where Peter the Great moved the capital of all of Russia, and started to semi-westernize it a bit into creating one of the great empires of the world, and his story is remarkable in and of itself. And then you have this German girl from a minor nobility, noble house, who moves to Russia and marries the Tsar, only to become one of the greatest empresses ever, and of course that's Catherine the Great, and her story is remarkable, and and this city's filled with stories of just those two. And then this is the home of Pushkin. Alexander Pushkin reinvigorated the Russian language, and he's just an amazing figure in literature in general, and he tells incredible stories, and this has just been the heart of it all. And so there's so much about the city, and it's endured some great achievements in arts and science, and it's endured some really incredible tragedies, and we'll talk about some of those too. The blockade of Leningrad during the Great Patriotic War, World War II, absolutely devastating. It's surprising how resilient the people here are to recover from something just so grave. So it's a really unique place, and it's filled with amazing people of all walks of life, and from all over Russia and all over the world. So yeah, it's I get a little revved up and emotional at times when I think about it, when I talk about it, because it's St. Petersburg just become part of my soul, and so I hope I can share some of that feeling with you, especially if you're interested in Russia. I encourage you to come visit, check out our stories, and like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll try to do our best to kind of give you a feel for what life's really like, the history and the culture. I talk about this all the time. It's Russia is so much more than the politics of the day and what you see on the news. It's a wonderful country full of wonderful people, and so I hope to share some of that with you. And it's good and bad points. Anyways, thanks for joining today. Please, again, like and subscribe. Share this with your friends. We appreciate all the support we can get, and I look forward to seeing you again in the future.